I am writing as a Chinese student living and studying in the United States. I, along with millions of other Chinese in the US and around the world, have faith in the whistleblower movement led by Mr. Miles Guo, and I am ready to take down the Chinese Communist Party at all costs. 2020 has been a rough year for every one of us. We have been through a lot due to the SARS-CoV-2, which has claimed more than 200,000 lives in America. We can no longer live our daily life with no social life, no fun with friends, and no traveling ahead of us. I am sure that we all would like to ask, why? There's no doubt that our lives have been deeply affected by SARS-CoV-2. On the other hand, the chaos in many cities before, during, and after the American presidential election is no coincidence. Let's explore how we ended up with SARS-CoV-2 and why violence is increasing amid the election in the year 2020. Regarding SARS-CoV-2, more than 9 million people in America have been infected with the virus, and more than 233,000 people have died from it. The rest of us have been deprived of our daily routines. SARS-CoV-2 is still spreading among people, and the second wave is on the way. Our way of life has been forever changed. For the past 10 months, we've been living uncomfortably by doing all of the following things that we never had to do before. Wearing masks all the time, keeping social distancing wherever we go, and staying at home as required by the government officials. Since the beginning of this pandemic, we have found ourselves increasingly wishing for the simplest things like chatting with friends at a big party, visiting family members, walking down the street in a metropolitan city such as New York, lying on the beach with the ocean in front of us, and breathing fresh air in a park without our face being covered. As a result, drug abuse, domestic violence, depression, and suicides are on the rise, all because of SARS-CoV-2. We have been so buried in problems caused by the virus that we have forgotten to pursue the truth about the origin of this virus, such as whether it came from nature or was it manufactured in a lab. Dr. Li Mingyan, a heroic Chinese scientist who escaped to the US, blew the whistle on the origin of SARS-CoV-2 in an article posted on Zenodo. Soon after, she posted another article demonstrating that the CCP manufactured the virus in its military lab and then unleashed it to the world population. The CCP has been lying about the origin of this virus. Unfortunately, the mainstream media and the scientific field have been surprising Dr. Yan and her whistleblowing efforts to let the truth out. As a result, the American people do not seem to be waking up from this nightmare. To the many Chinese who have been following the whistleblower movement, the SARS-CoV-2 is the CCP virus and a bioweapon. The CCP has launched unrestricted warfare against America and the rest of Western civilization. What many Americans fail to see is that the CCP is behind all the bad things that have been happening in this country this year. The violence on the streets, the BLM and Antifa protests, and now even election fraud. Yes, the CCP has laid its hand on the presidential election. It shipped fake IDs to cities like Chicago so that illegal immigrants could vote. It printed election ballots from China, according to Lu De in his most recent webcast, which is being interpreted into English. Presidential candidate Joe Biden and his family members have been so heavily involved in the shared interests with the CCP-owned companies as released from his son Hunter's laptop, aka the laptop from hell as President Trump calls it, that it became impossible for Biden to defend American values if he were elected. America. We witnessed a U.S. president who has made his promises to the American people and kept his words for the past 4 years. President Trump defends American core values, the American spirit, and will make America great again. The United States is now at the crossroads, and the path it takes will determine if the human civilization will survive, since the fight between the Western civilization and the Chinese Communist Party is a fight between justice and Southern spirit. The specter of the communism haunting Europe about 170 years ago is now haunting the God-blessed country of United States of America. Without any doubt, as shown from the documents released from Hunter's hard drive, Joe Biden is a CCP agent in the United States, and his gang of criminals has sold out the U.S. to the CCP. The swamp, which President Trump finds so hard to drain, is directly related to the Chinese Communist Party. For God-loving American citizens, draining the swamp should start with Joe Biden. With God's blessing, justice will prevail. To make America great again, Donald J. Trump is the chosen one.